Welcome to ALAT Chapter 32, Ferrets. Full disclosure, this is one of my favorite chapters. I I love everything about ferrets. I think ferrets are amazing and hilarious and magical, and I love how they smell. There there's very little about ferrets that I don't like. I was lucky enough to work with them at MIT, and we were breeding them. So I got to work with the Hobbs and the Jills and the Kits, and oh, there's just there's so much about ferrets that I love, and I miss them so much. I really wish that I had them as pets because I just love them. Why do we use ferrets? Ferrets are amazing. Ferrets are used to study viruses as well as respiratory diseases, dental research, reproductive research, and digestive system research. They can be used as a model in safety testing of drugs and chemicals, and they are an alternative to cats for pharmacological studies. We'll often use males more than the females because there are so many hormonal issues when it comes to working with the females, and we'll talk about that later. Now, again, full disclosure, I teach this at the PCC course as well, so I totally stole some of my slides from that program, and you're all welcome. So first off, it's Wazelton, not Weaselton. Ferrets have the best Latin name. They're Mustela, which is a weasel. They're Putorius, which literally means evil smelling. And then Furo, which is Latin for a thief. Ferrets are basically being called an evil smelling thief weasel. Weselton, not Weaselton. They are in the taxonomic order Carnovia, so they are in the same family as otters, weasels, and mink. Okay, why ferrets? They are very close biologically and physiologically to humans, more so than mice and rats. Their lungs are nearly identical to humans when it comes to function and disease susceptibility. And fascinatingly, their oestrus cycle quite similar to a woman's. They're used for flu research, reproductive research, replacements for cats. We talked about this, but at the same time, I just want to reemphasize. And look at this really cute person with this really cute ferret. Not me. Anatomy and physiology. Sorry, this one's a little bland. They come in a whole bunch of different colors. They come in the Fitch coloration, which is that wild type, tawny with brown markings. They can come as albinos. I've seen them as black. I've seen them as more sable. Their big characteristic is that long, flexible torso and relatively short little legs. Their necks are thick. The area where their head ends and the neck begins can be, a little tough to figure out. They have very prominent canine teeth, which you will see even when the mouth is closed. They have sizable claws. They go through a seasonal weight change. The mating season is March to August. They will lose a bunch of weight then, but then gain it again in the fall. Scent glands. Ferrets naturally have a musky odor, and that's due to normal skin secretions and their anal scent glands. A lot of times those scent glands are removed from laboratory ferrets as well as pet ferrets once they're old enough. And here's a fun thing. When they're sleeping, their body temperature drops when they're sleeping. So when you wake them up, they may actually shiver for several minutes while their body temperature comes back to normal. Totally natural, totally normal, but weird. Okay, reproductive data. Ooh, that red did not translate well. My apologies. Males are Hobbs, females are Jills, and the babies are Kits. They hit sexual maturity at 4 to 12 months. The gestation period, if they're virgin females, is 41 days. If they've had kits, it's 42 days. Their average litter size is 8, and they generally speaking get weaned at 6 to 8 weeks. Like cats and like rabbits, these are induced ovulators, which can be a problem. A lot of the animal facilities are going to purchase ferrets from a commercial source because they don't want to do breeding unless they're doing a reproductive study. If they are doing reproductive studies, the gills may actually be induced with hormones to induce ovulation. This can also terminate perpetual estrus because that can lead to bone marrow problems and possibly early death. When it comes to sexing, it's pretty obvious. You can see the male's prepuce on the ventral abdomen. You can palpate the os penis, and there's also a greater anogenital distance. The females have a single urogenital opening near the anus and a smaller anogenital distance. So it's pretty obvious. Penis, testes, vulval opening, anus, pretty obvious. All right, here's your biological data in a different format. Oh wait, there's more different formats because I do this for the class at PCC. So here's one way of presenting it with your body weight, your body temperature, all of that. Here's a different way, much prettier. So your weight at maturity, 800 to 1200 grams, their lifespan, 5 to 11 years. Body temperature is 100 degrees to 104 degrees. Heart rate, 200 to 400 beats per minute. Respiratory rate is 33 to 36 breaths per minute. And then when it comes to water consumption, they'll drink about 75 to 100 mils of water per day. Food consumption, we'll have a separate section on this, but food consumption is very specific. They need a high protein, low carb, low fiber food. These are basically cats. They are carnivores. They don't want anything to do with your beet pulp. They don't want anything to do with your pea protein. They want meat, and a lot of it. They eat about 50 to 75 grams of food per day. Urine output, I swear it's more than this, 26 to 28 mils per day. Sure. So what about behavior? Oh, I mentioned how much I love ferrets. They are playful, they are naughty, they are mischievous. They are very, very social animals, and they like to be housed in pairs or groups. They are escape artists, so they need to be housed in escape-proof caging. Ferrets, like hamsters, have trouble waking up. If you wake up a ferret, you need to give them a couple of minutes. They're kind of like me in the morning. Don't fall for this. Don't think that they're unthrifty or that they're dead. It just takes them a minute. And because that low body temperature happens, they may actually start shivering when they awaken. That is normal. Ferrets can be held by the scruff of the neck like kittens, and when you do, they will often yawn and then relax their whole body, which is a really great way to get a ferret that has attached itself to your forearm off of your forearm. Ferrets produce several distinct vocalizations. The kits cheep, and the older ferrets will cluck or hiss. They just have great noises. Handling and restraint. Ferrets are described as aggressive and difficult to handle, which I'm sorry. If you handle them nicely and you socialize them, they're not that hard, but you have to keep at it. Like you can't just they will go feral if you don't handle them often. Do pay attention if you're bringing in a new shipment or if you're working with Jills with kits. The Jills are very protective mothers and will theoretically bite if they are threatened. I have been bitten by more males than females, and I worked with the Jills a lot, but they are protective. Once ferrets get used to their new environment, you can usually handle them without the thicker restraining gloves. If you have to restrain a ferret, it's pretty easy to just scoop it up behind the forelimbs with one hand and then hold the hindquarters with another. You don't want to like hold the hind limbs. You just want to support them because if you're like restraining those back legs, they're going to start kicking. You can also place a hand over the animal's shoulder with the thumb and forefinger around the animal's neck and then the fingers around the chest, kind of like a bird hold or a modified rat hold. You can scruff them, and when you scruff them, they will relax, and that lets things like nail trims or different types of procedures happen a little bit more easily. And when they yawn, you can check their mouths. Here are their lovely canine teeth. Oh, they're so cute. Identification methods. Usually you'll do Microchips, you can use ear tags. I've seen them tattooed quite a bit, but their ears are kind of small, and that can make it a little challenging. Husbandry. Ferrets are very, very, very sensitive to heat. They need to be kept in rooms that are less than 81 degrees. They seem to prefer being between 55 and 64 degrees. They do shed. When it comes to scruffing, not only can we scruff them, but the ferrets will scruff each other, and that is normal. And don't be surprised if you see a ferret dragging another ferret around by its scruff. Totally cool unless like it becomes excessive. Group sleeping. Ferrets like to sleep together. Like they'll just pile like on top of each other, like a puppy pile. So if you've got a rest area, make sure it's big enough for everybody. Escape artists. These guys can be kept in cat or rabbit cages, but you have to make sure that the door fits well, it closes well, the bar spaces are narrow, that there's no spaces bigger than an inch because they will get through it. If you are using a cage with a J feeder, you need to make sure that there's a cover on that because the ferrets will crawl out of it when it's empty of food. Fun fact, totally true. And then just a reminder, these are animals that are covered under the USDA. Okay, I promised you we would talk about diet. They need a high protein diet. They are obligate carnivores. These are not omnivores. These are animals that need animal-based food, 35% protein. Generally speaking, when you have them in a lab facility, you're going to feed them commercial ferret diet, and that totally meets their needs. Ferrets are really unique in that they have a short digestive tract, like a cat, and need to eat frequently. They can get hypoglycemic if they're being fasted or if they're feed restricted. Generally speaking, we're feeding them ad libitum. Ferrets of all ages are insane chewers. So be aware of what they could be ingesting in their microenvironment. They will get hairballs, they will get fragments of enrichment materials, they will eat paper towels, they will chew on gloves. Those are normal things. If there's an obstruction, you'll see things like weight loss, bruxia or tooth grinding, appetite loss, possibly bloody stool. You see those things, let somebody know there's a problem. And then you can give them laxatives during shedding season. Laxatone is a great treat and reward for ferrets to help with hairballs. And just a reminder, these are carnivores. Look at their canine teeth. They're one of the few animals that we get to talk about that has canine teeth. Okay, environmental enrichment. These are smart, smart buggers. They are very social. They need a complex and stimulating environment. They like water baths, they like crawling in things, they like burrowing. When you are choosing toys for their enrichment, please, please, please keep in mind that they chew everything. Everything. Use hard, durable toys and check the toys for excessive chewing. You want them to chew them, but eventually you're going to have to replace them. Oh my God, I miss them so much. Who has ferrets? Give me ferrets. I want to come visit your ferrets. Okay. This is just a really cool video that I wanted to share with you because it shows their normal body movement, which I feel like a lot of us don't get to see if you don't work with ferrets. And it's important to know what is normal so that you know when they are having an abnormal issue. So let's take a look at this. And for those of you who are listening to this and not watching this, we are watching a very short video of ferrets being ferrets. And they are doing the whole doot 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 thing and the backing up thing and the attacking each other thing and the attacking paper bag things. it's pretty awesome. I'm sorry, but there's very few animals that are as awesome as ferrets. Oh, do I have something else for you? There is in the notes section, you'll see that there's another YouTube video, and it's a really neat video of Blackfoot ferrets that are being trained, conditioned to return to the wild, and they're teaching them how to hunt and kill. Watch it if you're interested. Don't if you don't. Not a requirement. It was just kind of neat, so I added it. Signs of pain, distress, or illness. These are some really good images of what a crumpy feeling ferret looks like. Ferrets usually arch their backs, so that hunching that we see with rats and mice that's a health concern is actually not in ferrets, and it's the opposite. If you see them like not sleeping but like their back is straight, there might be something wrong with them. Uncomfortable ferrets won't curl into their normal sleeping position. They may be lethargic, they may be anorexic. If an animal is suddenly being aggressive, that could be a sign of pain. Breathing quickly can be a sign of pain. Um, Sometimes the scent glands will emit like anal glands goo, and that can be a problem. Ferrets are very vocal, and if they're painful, they may be vocalizing in a different way. Grinding their teeth can be an indication of pain. Ferrets do vomit, so if you see vomit, that can be abnormal. Sneezing, breathing difficulty, nasal discharge, or eye discharge should absolutely be reported because ferrets are susceptible to a lot of the respiratory diseases we get. And then female ferrets can develop an estrogen toxicity if they're still intact. So you may see something like a persistently swollen vulva. They may lose their fur completely. Those are often hormonal issues. You would want to report those. And then our always favorite euthanasia. Ferrets are a larger animal, so they are generally euthanized by sedating and then injecting a lethal dose of barbiturate. If a ferret's to be euthanized while under anesthesia, you're going to use a secondary method such as exsanguination or removal of all of their blood, or a bilateral thoracotomy. Verify the death. Your SOPs, your mileage may vary with your SOPs, and then carcass disposal should be according to your facility's guidelines. Oh, there's the end of my favorite chapter. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope it was interesting. Have a great night.